As soon as he was done talking, someone opened the door. Soon, an old man dressed in an all-black suit with a stern and cold expression strode in. The old man had his hands behind him. His facial expression was icy, and his gaze haughty. He had this mysterious air around him. "Sir Crane, you've finally arrived." Ezra's eyes lit up. "Welcome him." And he stood up too. "Have you prepared what I requested?" Theodore sat down slowly. He spoke in a low and enigmatic voice. "All ready." Ezra nodded as he took out a shirt and put it on the table. He continued, "This is a shirt worn by Dustin Reese. I asked someone to steal it." "Very good. With this shirt, that guy won't be able to escape." Theodore nodded with a satisfying look. Dustin's actions had embarrassed him to no end in front of the Welsh family. Now that Ezra was going to pay him to cast a spell on Dustin Reese, it was just like he could get paid to avenge as well. Wasn't it a sweet deal? Himself. "Sir Crane, it's just a shirt. What can it possibly do?" Eleanor was unimpressed. "Why? Are you doubting my abilities?" Theodore looked displeased. "Please don't misunderstand her, Sir Crane. Eleanor is just curious. We've never seen anything like this." Ezra tried to smooth things over with a smile. "Truth be told, a person's scent will linger on their shirt. We can't detect it, but there are some things that could accurately locate them just by their scent alone, even from hundreds of miles away," Theodore explained. "Really? What are these amazing things?" Eleanor was suddenly intrigued. "This is a business secret. I can't tell you anything," Theodore replied coolly. Eleanor frowned and was a little annoyed. But she decided not to lose her temper. "Sir Crane, let's begin." Ezra changed the topic. "All right." Theodore nodded and retrieved two tightly sealed wooden containers. The wooden container on the left was covered with a green cloth, and the one on the right was covered with a red cloth. Something venomous is in the green wooden container. Once a person is bitten by this thing, they will experience excruciating pain. They'd feel like a whole army of ants were eating them alive. They'd be torn between living and dying. Something aggressive is in the red one. If bitten by this, the person will bleed to death through all their orifices within 3 minutes. Now, make your choice. Would you like him to suffer excruciating pain, or would you like him to die instantly? Theodore introduced the different spell effects and gave them the right to decide. "Eleanor, what do you think we should choose?" Ezra turned to ask. Killing him would be too easy on him. Eleanor's face was cold, and her eyes shone with a killer intent. "He went against me. I want him to experience excruciating pain. I want him to regret the choices he made. I want him to kneel before me and beg for forgiveness and apologize for his mistakes." Ezra's eyelid twitched when he heard that. Fuck. Helleth no fury like a woman scorned. Eleanor's cruel expression gave Ezra the chills. He thought that she might hesitate. He never thought that she would want Dustin to experience excruciating pain from the beginning. After all, Dustin did help her once. Wasn't that too cruel? When Ezra thought of what he had done before, he was a little frightened. It was lucky that he still had the support of the Swanson family. If his fate was in the hands of this crazy woman, he knew he'd end up with a horrible ending. "Ezra, is there a problem?" Eleanor looked at him again with an innocent smile. She looked completely different from the cruel and vengeful person a few moments ago. "No, no problem at all." Ezra laughed. "This guy has it coming. He actually had the guts to upset my girl. He must pay for it. I knew it. You love me most." Eleanor smiled sweetly. Then, she pointed at the green wooden container and said, "Sir Crane, we'll use the venomous thing in this. We must teach this goon a good lesson. You've paid for this service. Your wish is my command." Without saying another word, Theodore nodded in agreement. They saw him cut out a corner of Dustin's shirt and dripped a few drops of fresh blood on it before chucking it into the green container. Theodore then started chanting softly and acting in a secretive manner. After the charade, he suddenly lifted the green cloth and called out firmly, "Go." At the moment when the green cloth was lifted, a venomous black insect escaped and flew out the door very quickly. "All right, that's it. We'll know the results in an hour." Theodore folded his sleeves and sat down again as he started enjoying the light snack prepared. "Thank you for your hard work, Sir Crane." Ezra smiled. With a wave of his hand, he ordered, "Bring in the wine." Soon, a sumptuous feast was served. An ornate wooden box was also placed on the table. When it was opened, Theodore saw that it was filled with gold bars. "Sir Crane, please accept my small token of appreciation." Ezra nudged the wooden box filled with gold bars forward. "You're most welcome. It's my honor to have been of service." Theodore flashed a rare smile and graciously accepted the gold bars. Compared to cold, hard cash, he preferred shiny and glittering objects. "Sir Crane, let me give you a toast. Here's to more successful collaborations between us." Ezra poured 3 glasses of wine for each of them. They drank every last drop after clinking glasses. Very soon, the conversation started flowing, and they began to relax as they drank more wine. Ezra was very interested in the occult, so he asked questions to learn more about it. As he was just paid handsomely with gold bars, Theodore was more than happy to divulge his knowledge. After finding out more about the occult, Ezra found out that Theodore was from the Mystic Arts Order. Occultism was actually just witchcraft. The only difference was that one sounded better than the other. Ezra was engaged in an interesting conversation with Theodore. Eleanor was a little annoyed sitting beside them because she felt neglected. After all, she wasn't interested in their topic of conversation. After the sumptuous feast, Eleanor asked impatiently, "Sir Crane, didn't you say we would have results within an hour? It's already been an hour. Why haven't we heard anything? Did the insect you released fail?" Theodore stifled his smile when he heard that. "Why? Don't you trust my abilities? I'm just curious. I'm afraid that there could have been a mishap on its way." Eleanor's brow furrowed slightly. "What mishaps could there be? My venomous insect has been bred especially for this purpose. It's been trained well. There's never been any mistakes. It could locate its targeted prey anywhere in the world." Theodore was very confident. "If that's the case, why hasn't there been any news till now? How do you know if it worked?" Eleanor asked again. "Why see," Theodore began. "The critters I keep need to feed on my blood to forge a bond. Over time, it forms a connection. Once that connection's solid, I'll know it in a heartbeat," he explained. Eleanor raised a curious eyebrow. "Sounds pretty otherworldly. It's a cult, something a high society girl like you might not grasp," he said with an air of secrecy. "But what if it doesn't work?" she prodded. Theodore furrowed his brow. Was she trying to test his patience? "Don't worry, Eleanor, you don't need to worry about that," Ezra chimed in, flashing a reassuring smile. "Sir Crane's mastery of the occult is legendary. There's no room for failure." "But I'm talking about the what-if," Eleanor insisted. "There's no room for what-ifs." Theodore's expression grew cold. "Unless that kid has the skin of steel and a spirit beyond, disaster is certain. I don't get all this magic stuff. I just want to know, will there be a sign if it fails?" She kept pushing. Theodore was clearly exasperated. Was she intentionally trying his patience? He had already made it clear that failure wasn't an option. "Don't be upset, Sir Crane. Eleanor's simply curious," Ezra interjected, looking slightly sheepish. After all, Eleanor was a sheltered, rich woman. She was quite inexperienced in such matters. Theodore raised his glass, drained it, and slammed it back on the table. He declared, "Even if it failed, I'd blame my inadequacies. If it backfired, I brought it upon myself." "Backfires? What kind of backfire?" Eleanor continued her inquisition. "Dizziness, nauseousness, 3 days of weakness at worst," Theodore replied, his tone reflecting his annoyance. "I see." She nodded with newfound understanding. If it failed, there would indeed be a sign. "Miss Welsh, are you satisfied now?" Theodore's face contorted into a displeased expression. "Don't get the wrong idea, Sir Crane. I was simply curious," Eleanor replied with a smile. "Wait a moment." Just as he was about to say something else, his expression suddenly froze. "I can sense it now. The poison is stirring. It must be getting closer to its target."